Now, I wasn't wrong when I said this would be the messy part. I guess this partly reflects the fact that in my past I've done a bit of car body work, and I find that car body filler is just fantastic material to work with. So these planks, even with the fiberglass over them, turn into a series of flats. And what I want to do now is put carbog over the hull, and I'm going to do this in several stages because the carbog will go off while I'm working, and then I'm simply going to stop until finally the whole hull has got a nice coating like it has here, and it looks absolutely terrible. There's still a bit in the stern you can see I have to do. But once the whole hull is covered, that's the time when the process starts. Now I am using here 60 grit, I think it is, and it's really quite coarse, and I reckon I've got here around about an hour and a half's work. So I have a break halfway through and come back to it. But you can see the finish here. I've got now the hull shape looking very nice indeed. I've cut right through into the balsa again because the balsa shape, when you really start looking for the shape, because that's what I'm doing now, I'm trying to get the shape right, you find that you might go right through the cardboard or you might go right into the timber. So I need to be prepared here to put some more fiberglass on the end, because that has now been completely weakened by the lack of fiberglass because I've just simply sanded it all away. So the next step, of course, is to go over the boat and find out where you've done that and add some fiberglass and strengthen it like I've done here. Similar process here with the bow, and now that I have done that with the bow, I'm going to start adding more car filler, because the bow has a very interesting shape on this boat. It has a sonar bulb low down in the hull, and I want to get that right. So I spend a lot of time with this, just working on it. And as you can see, the bow is a pretty awful shape here, but I'm getting it looking better every minute. And it's just a matter of taking some patience. Doing it by hand is the best way to do it, because gradually you begin to see the shape take place, and gradually you begin to feel very positive about it. So this is it. I've put some more fiberglass on the hull yet again, and now I'm finishing with just getting the obvious holes and dings. I'm filling those in with a little bit more car filler. Going out again and starting again. Now it was around about this time that I noticed that the stern was not right. It really comes down almost to a point, and the drawings don't show that very clearly, the drawings that I have. So what I've done here is now I'm working on this and sanding it right back to a point, and I'm doing it by getting the vertical perspective and then the horizontal perspective and just doing flats, and then working on it to get it all nice and round and getting the shape looking much, much better. And then using some, I think this is about 100 grit. Now I'm working again on the bow. The bow is such a critical part of this boat, and it's not easy to get right. So I'm working on this. I've added some more filler to it. I've got to get this round part perfectly right. And at this point in time, you can see it's looking pretty good, but if anything, it's a little bit too sharp at the front. You can see I've developed the hydroplane, the sonar bulge, and I'm now working around that sonar bulge to make it approximately what it should be. I've got some good drawings I've taken off the internet for all of that, and it's now looking, I think, pretty good. That bow is about as good as it's going to be. It's really spot on, and that's what this whole process is about now. It's about getting the basic shape right. Now I've sprayed the whole thing with some grey etch, and I've done that so that I can put the sandpaper over it again just to test it out. Now I've taken it through the ripsaw, and I haven't shown you the video for this because honestly you need to get this done either professionally or you trust yourself to do it, because I'm not going to show you how to do it. I just had to cut the very center bit out because the blade didn't fit perfectly, but now you can see inside this hull, and the blade is cut through all of the timber formers on the inside plus some of the thicker material very simply. And what I'm doing now is I'm just pulling the stern parts out, and I'm leaving the part in the middle because I'm just not overly convinced yet about the strength of the hull. So while the middle formers are still holding the shape of the hull, I'm putting some fiberglass in the bow section. This is very important on a submarine. And even later, when you drill a hole into the hull, you have to recognize that you're halfway through the... you have fiberglass on the inside and on the outside, but you've got cardboard in the middle, so you have to seal everything to make sure it's all safe. So that's about it. Now what I'm drawing here, attempting to draw, is where I'm going to put a piece of 3mm sheet, and I'm going to use fiberglass to hold it in. Now this 3mm sheet is of course exactly the same thickness as the blade that cut the hull in half, and once it's in and it's glued and it's fiberglassed in, I'm going to chamfer a section off and then use filler in there to make all of that nice and smooth. And this all comes from my background in car body work, because when you do working on a car body, if the hull or if the metal shows through, you really want to tap it down so that all you're working with is filler. Now I've made on the lathe a little collet and a little stud, and the idea is going to be, I've drilled the hole for the stud already into the lower section of the bow. I now need to drill a larger hole in the upper part of the boat, and I'm going to glue that in, and as you can see, Glad Wrap comes in very useful in a lot of things in submarine working. So if I put some nice 5-minute epoxy all around that collet and put the top on and line this up perfectly, when I pull it off it should remain lined up perfectly, and I should have a very, very nice connection between the hull top and the hull bottom. There it is. It's worked very well. This is the uppermost part, and I'm just using my file here to get rid of some shreds of epoxy. But the whole boat is now joined together and cut in half, and I'm once again pretty happy with this. It's looking nice. This is the early days. It's a bit sticky, but there we go. That comes off, and you can see now I've got a hull that's open and ready to be worked on. And there's bags of room in this hull, much more than there was in my U-boat. Okay, let's go to the next movie.